Hey guys, it's Linux next to you. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing, or be it an initial review, of a new distro that got a new release, the 4th version of their release, and that distro is PikaOS. Now, PikaOS has been around for quite a while, and I have seen it a couple times by other YouTubers and some people on Reddit talking about it, but I never really thought much to it when coming to actually try it. But since it's on its 4th version, they decided to rebase to Debian, and I was like, well, I've never tried a Debian gaming based distro before, so why not give it a go? And before this video starts, definitely give it a like and definitely subscribe to the channel. I would definitely appreciate it. And what I'll be doing with this initial review is I'm just going to go over everything, and then I'm going to try the distro for around a month or so, and then do a follow-up video to see if there was any like major issues with any like specific updates that came out or any other new features that got introduced to the distro. So the first one is, what is PikaOS? Well, it is a gaming / optimization focused Linux distribution that emphasizes of ease of use and high compatibility. Built on a Debian base but with cherry-picked and custom compiled packages, ensures that Pika is stable whilst being bang up to date, which is mostly true. So yeah, PikaOS is a Debian-based distro. It's Debian SID. It's not Debian stable or anything. They do need newer packages. That's why it's probably based off of Debian SID. And it does have some experimental packages also, which go past the SID branch to get newer packages like the Plasma Desktop, for example. That is on experimental with the version that they're using, which is 6.2.1 currently. But if we scroll down here, you can see some screenshots of what it looks like. What is PikaOS? PikaOS is designed to provide gaming out of the box, set up for pain-free Linux gaming from the start. Excellent performance, combines up-to-date drivers with a custom tweaked kernel for speed. We also optimize every package with O3 LTO and AVX2 for extra speed. Now, O3 LTO and AVX2 is just how kernel gets compiled, so it's like more optimized, I guess. And yeah, that's great that those are included. And then, like it said here, high compatibility. Debian SID based with custom patches ensures broad software and hardware support. Open source, all the code is available on the GitHub or GitEA page, which is another type of like GitHub or GitLab styled repo where you can access the developers' code if you want to and look at what they're doing and committing. And then it goes through some of its like key features, like it has a cute bird mascot, which is true. It is a decent brand, I would say, for the distro. It is, yep, it's gaming focused. It includes drivers for optimal hardware support, performance tuned for speed, high software and hardware compatibility, and an open source development. And then we go down to where you can download the ISO. So there is different desktop editions for PikaOS. There's the GNOME, KDE, Hyperland, and there is the NVIDIA version also. So if you have an NVIDIA card, the NVIDIA drivers will be pre-installed for you. And if we did look at the recent update of PikaOS 4, like I said there, it rebased to Debian. They had some fully self-compiled packages with the LTO, AVX2, and O3 optimizations. They upgraded to Plasma 6. They have GNOME 47. You can also get the Cosmic-Desktop with the specific command. Since it's like experimental, you can't actually get it right now in terms of like an ISO. The latest Hyperland version, the latest PikaOS patched Linux kernel. So there is PikaOS patches in the kernel to improve performance a little bit. Brand new custom installer, which I will talk about that. It's pretty cool, I would say, pretty neat. Custom updater and welcome maps, which is true. Easy driver management with Pika drivers, that is also true. That is included and it is pretty cool. Fully self-packaged NVIDIA drivers, and then a custom version of game mode. So I heard that the reason it's called Falcon game mode is because they took the original game mode that we use and they added some extra patches to it to improve some of the things that the original game mode can't do properly or has little issues with. So that helps to get max performance out of your games. And then there's lots more to discover. And then there is a FAQ and wiki. So if you do want to learn a little bit about some of maybe the issues that it has or how to use Hyperland, also that's pretty cool. And it says here, can you use Ventoy to install PikaOS? No, you can't. And then there was the Cosmic-Desktop. So if you do want to install the Cosmic-Desktop, you would enter this command, which I'll leave it in the link description so you can do it if you are on PikaOS. So how is the installing experience? Well, I will show up screenshots of the installing experience. It is pretty cool. They have their own custom installer. It's GTK4 with like Adwaita based. So it does look quite nice. And I did some manual partitioning because I wanted to keep EndeavourOS installed. So I had to do manual partitioning. And after I installed the distro, there wasn't really any issues. The one thing that I did notice is that they did install the REFIND boot manager, or refined, I think is how you say it, which I've never used before, and it is a nice boot manager, I would say. I've seen it plenty of times in like screenshots and YouTube videos, but I've never actually used it. So when I used it, it's pretty cool. It comes up with like 2 options for the distros that you have installed. So for me, I had EndeavourOS and PikaOS installed, and it was rather easy to switch between them. Now, I saw that after installing PikaOS, it does use X11 by default, that I noticed. I'm guessing that's just to ensure compatibility for like NVIDIA users, even though NVIDIA is improving their Wayland support. I guess it's just, you know, if anyone does have any issues, having X11 enabled by default probably has a higher percentage, I guess, of not having as many issues than if you ran Wayland, I guess. So I think the first thing that you'll notice is that they do have their own plugin that they're using, which I'm pretty sure you can probably get from the Plasma store, that is a different launcher for your applications. Instead of the normal KDE Plasma one, they use this dashboard type of way, which kind of looks similar to, I guess you could say, GNOME, but not really. But it does have the applications here, your categories and your favorites. Of course, you can disable this. You can just delete the dashboard and just add the regular one if you want to from KDE Plasma. And one of the first things that you'll be greeted to is the welcome to PikaOS, which is forked from Nobara's PikaOS welcome screen. So it has a lot of the same things with applying tweaks or applying codecs. So you can update your system, you can install media codecs and libraries, and then some other options like opening up the driver manager, the kernel manager, install more apps from the software manager, install web apps, and then the recommended additions. You can install all the game utilities. So if you don't want to go and find all the utilities, you can just do this one, and it's going to install the majority of the gaming software utilities that you would want on a Linux distro. And then also they include extra game utilities, so other little launchers, or basically that's all it is, Hurron games and bottles alongside some base game util packages. So that's cool if you want that also. And there is also installed device configurations for many controllers and VR equipment. So if you have any controller issues or you have any specific VR equipment, I definitely would install this package, so then that support gets better. And then some other applications that you can install like Kdenlive, Treader, LibreOffice, Blender, OBS Studio, which is pretty cool to see. And then you got your look and feel, so you can get new icons and themes from the Pling theming store. You can go to troubleshoot, so you can go to their wiki. You can also join the community, so they do have a Discord and they do have a subreddit. And then if you do want to contribute to PikaOS, you can go to their repository and then commit merge requests or open up issues for it. And then you can go to their website page for translation. And the one thing I've noticed is I can't find a donation link, because PikaOS, if they are doing a lot of work, which it does seem like they are, you know, building a Linux distro and they are trying to maintain it. I would like to see a donation link somewhere here, and probably the contribute one. That would be pretty nice if people can contribute money to the distro. The other thing that is included is the SuperGFX application, control application, which is pretty cool. So you can, if you have a laptop or if you have, let's say, some type of like eGPU setup, you can switch between them, which is pretty cool to see. Now, one thing I did forget to enable is, you know, to switch back to the default icon pack that they do use, which is the Papers icon pack, which I've used plenty of times, especially when Nobara used to use it by default. So we'll just enable this here, just so we can get the similar theme as you would get out of the box on PikaOS. So one of the other applications that PikaOS did include, they have 2 of their own applications. One is a kernel manager. So if you open this, we can see the latest stable version, running kernel, and running sketch. So if you want to, you can go to the settings part and you can change the scheduler, which will include the newer schedulers like LEVD, which does improve gaming performance. Or, you know, if you have any other ones that you know that will improve certain tasks, there's a bunch of other different schedulers that you can choose from to apply to the kernel. You can apply it easily like I did. I chose LEVD and I hit apply, and then it applies it, and you just restart your computer and then it's activated. And then if you want to grab newer kernels, you can go and look through here. They have a bunch of different kernels for you to install, including the RC versions of the Linux kernel, which is pretty cool. So if you want to test out, let's say you have some type of equipment that isn't supported in the kernel yet when it comes to driver support, but it is that new RC version, then you can just select it here easily and click install. And then the next one is the driver manager, which is pretty cool, I would say. It includes a lot of different packages, drivers to choose from. So for me, I'm running an AMD GPU. So there is a lot of different drivers available for me. I have the stable one installed before. The hybrid was being used by default, which was fine. Everything still worked fine when it came to like playing games and stuff like that. But what's cool here is we do have the Git version also, which I was testing also yesterday, and it ran really well, which it is Mesa 24.4, which is crazy that we're up to Mesa 24.4 right now, and Mesa 24.3 isn't even out yet. But if we do look through here, there is some other ones. Like if you want to install the AMD GPU Pro driver, you can do that. Or if you want to install the ROCM meta packages, you can do that also. So if you like using any type of like 3D applications that need ROCM as like a runtime, you can definitely do that. Or you can use the OpenCL legacy version also. And then you got like AMF. So like if you want to use, I guess, the AMF encoder, even though you don't really need to use that anymore, VARP is pretty on par. And then we also got the VRK driver, which isn't really recommended. You should be using just Mesa and REDV Mesa to get the best gaming out of it. And then also there is the AMD GPU Pro OGLP, which I don't know what that package or driver does necessarily. But of course, if you had a NVIDIA card plugged in, it would be showing a bunch of different NVIDIA drivers for you to install. And one of the other things, if you haven't noticed, is the wallpapers on PikaOS. They are pretty nice, I would say. There is a lot of them. As you can see here, there is a decent amount. I'll go and put this on my other screen and then I'll switch between them so you guys can see what they look like. The first one is probably the best one, I would say. I mean, this one's pretty cool, I would say, actually. There's this one also. There's this one. What else is there? There is this one. There's this one. Then we got this one. And we got this one. Then we got this one. Then we got this one. And 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 this one. And then this one. And it just keeps going and going, and it's just, this is so many, literally is. I'll keep going until I'm finished, but like there is just so many wallpapers included in this distro. I'm just pretty blown away by how many there are. So if you are into wallpapers and you like this whole like bird, or they have like cat and dog type of art, illustrated art, and some from some other like indie video games, then you'll definitely like this distro when it comes to its whole just aesthetic and theme. Personally, I don't like the yellow scheme. I'm not into the pea color necessarily, but it does fit the theme though when it comes to the bird. Keep going through. Here's this one, which is quite interesting. And we got this one, and we got this one, and then this one is the last one that they have. So all pretty good wallpapers. I would say they're like all like 9s out of 10s when it comes to like the whole, does it fit the theme of PikaOS? I think it does, and it includes like a bird, but there's also like lots of different animals and stuff like that and different wallpapers, and it's a whole like illustrated art, so it looks very nice, I would say, and it fits in really well. Now when it comes to gaming on PikaOS, it is pretty okay. There's no issues that I saw when it came to playing on my AMD card. Either it be I used the Mesa stable version or the Mesa Git version. I did do a benchmark. I did test EndeavourOS against PikaOS and some games that do have a benchmark mode and the finals, because that's just like one of my favorite games when it comes to an FPS title. And so if we do look through, I haven't looked at these yet. Let's say like Batman Arkham Knight, for example. We can open up pika.csv file, and then if we open up the Arch version or EndeavourOS version, if we have a look at its average FPS for the Arch, we can see it's 182.6. Look at Pika's, it's 203. So that's quite interesting. I don't know, like a 20 FPS gain, like really? Damn. Okay, that might have been where I've actually hit record and it may have spiked accidentally. I'm unsure, but if that is true, that is pretty cool that it was able to hit an average of 200 FPS. That's pretty nice, I would say, versus Arch. And if we have a look at its 97 percentile, we look at Arch, it's 316, while Pika's is 319. But let's say we have a look at Cyberpunk 2077, for example. So let's open up the Arch one, let's open up the Pika one, and if we do have a look at our average FPS, it is 99.6, and then we have a look over at Arch, it's 98. So as you can see, Pika does win just by a little bit again. It's 97 percentile, 135 versus 135.5 or 135.8 on Pika. So Pika just wins a little bit again. Another one is Division 2, because that has a benchmark mode. Even though people don't really play Division 2, it is still a good benchmark when you want to run it. Average FPS 155 on Pika, and then Arch is 153. So again, Pika just wins just by a little bit. 97 percentile, 207 versus 196. If you look at its 1% min, now 1% min on Pika is 98, while Arch is 78. So that's quite interesting that it seems like Pika is able to hold its FPS. And like Arch, I say EndeavourOS, that doesn't doesn't have any type of like patches running. It doesn't have game mode running. It doesn't have the LEVD scheduler running. It doesn't have that Falcon game mode patches applied at all. It's literally just stock EndeavourOS, which is just stock Arch basically. So when it comes to the performance wise, it seems like Pika is winning in most instances so far. And the last one we have here is the Finals, which is a game that I like to play a decent amount. I haven't played it in quite a week now, but like I do still play it a lot. I have like 800 and something hours on it, which is quite crazy. But if you look at the average FPS, again, PikaOS 182, while on Arch it's 182 also. Well, it's 182.1. Well, it's 182.8. So then Arch wins that one just by a little bit. 97 percentile, 409 versus 245. So that's quite interesting that it did that. That might have been a frame spike, maybe. And then we have a look at it's a 1% minimum FPS, 110 versus 99. So I would say PikaOS still wins this one when it comes to the 1%, and then the 0.1%, which I didn't really look at that much, that's 90 versus 49. So that might be another weird frame spike that might have happened when I was on Arch when running the Finals. So overall, I would say when you have these patches applied, you do see performance gains. It's just very negligible. Like one was like 20 FPS gain. Like that's quite insane that you're able to get that. So there is times where PikaOS does actually outperform something like a base Arch install, which is quite not surprising, I would say, but it is nice to see that you can get that performance out of it. And the only thing I would say about running Debian SID with like those experimental patches or packages is that you don't get necessarily the latest updates. As right now, the KDE Plasma version is on 6.2.1, and that includes the full screen cursor bug. And to get that fixed, you need to be on 6.2.2 or above. So it's like, for now, I'm just gonna wait for that package to come out. If you are using KDE Plasma as your main desktop, I would actually advise against using PikaOS because of that cursor bug until they update to 6.2.2, which is when Debian updates to 6.2.2 and the experimental SID branch. But besides that, you do get like the latest kernel, which is like 6.11.5 or .6 or something like that. And you also do get the latest Mesa release, which is on like 24.2.5, I think, or .6 also. So when it comes to the experience of playing games with PikaOS, it's very nice, except the Plasma bug that is happening. I'm just waiting for 6.2 to come out. So that's not PikaOS's fault at all. That's just Debian, the experimental branch, is taking a little bit to upgrade to 6.2.2. So the question is, would I use this distro? For me, no. I like Arch too much, I would say. I just like using it. I like getting the latest updates. Of course, you still can't get the latest updates with this distro because it's running on the SID/experimental branch, but Arch is just a tad bit quicker, and it has the AUR, so that's quite fun to use. But if you are into, like, you've been looking for a gaming distro that is Debian based because you like Debian as a base install and you want newer packages instead of running Debian stable, and you want those patches from CashesOS and quick installs, welcome screens from the Bara, and some specific patches in the kernel and the game mode, I would definitely recommend using this distro. It is very nice to use. I didn't really have any major issues with it. I did hear that someone in my comments had an update problem and some permissions problem, which I also had some hard drive permissions, but I was able to solve that by going into GNOME disks and just enabling the recursive permissions to take ownership of the drives. So that was the only issue that I actually had necessarily, but it wasn't really an issue because I was able to solve it relatively quickly because I knew what to do. But if you are a new user and you do have that problem, GNOME disks is installed. So you want to open disk, go to your SSD or whatever it is, and you want to take ownership, enable recursive, and click OK, and then it's going to apply the necessary permissions on the drive, and you'll be able to use it, install games, etc. So the conclusion with this distro is that it's like, for a Debian gaming based distro, it's like, like a 9 out of 10, I would say. It has a lot of things installed for you, a lot of things pre-installed, but it also has a nice welcome screen from the Bara. It has, a nice Pikman update manager. Also, I forgot to mention this, there is an update manager for APT, Flatpak, and this seems to have no issues for me. I was able to update perfectly fine just before I did an update, and there was no issues with it. And yeah, that's about it for this video, I would say. So if you guys definitely enjoyed watching this video, I would give it a like. I would definitely subscribe to the channel. Thank you to my supporters. I'll show a screenshot of them now. I definitely appreciate you guys giving me money every single month, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.